Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing great. And the thing is, today we have lots of things to cover. And I want you first, please pay very much attention. The first part is totally theory. And after that, we are gonna get to hands-on. Today, we are gonna cover lots of hands-on things. As you can guess, based on the PowerPoint, is this just be here? Yeah. Based on the PowerPoints, it's list. The content that we are covering is list, right? Again, guys, if you think that laptop or whatever is going to distract you, please just be here 100%. Most of the time, people start just saying, okay, list is this, and that's not good. Learn it the way that you want to teach it to someone else. If somebody asks you where this concept has come from, you should say, at the beginning, they wanted to add two numbers together, like calculators, like basic calculators. So they said that here we have one plate, and I'm going to place 5 on it, and I'm going to have another plate, and let's just add another number, and then I'm gonna just add these two together, right? Either overwrite one of them or save it in another plate, right? So we are gonna say, for instance, 5, comma, 10, comma, add. I'm talking about pseudo assembly language kind of thing. And it was good up to a certain point. What if you wanted to add 100 numbers? What if you wanted to add 1,000, 100,000? Then this is not an efficient way of allocating memory, right? We needed something better. It's like having a skyscraper, something like this, and then having consecutive memory allocation. And what do we call this data structure, guys? Anyone remembers? This is nothing but array, right? And you just need to call this one the whole building you have seen, like Empire State or the buildings that you live in. They have a name, like you can call it my, for instance, array. And then it's going to have the indices like that, 0, 1, all the way to index n, and put the values inside. But what is the specification of this data structure? It works fine and it has high performance when you are sure about the number of items that you want to have, like this is 100, 100,000 or something. But what if you are not sure at the beginning? Guys, imagine that you want to set up a company similar to what we have in Uber or Amazon. You are not sure that are you going to be successful, or is it going to be a kind of based on the competition, something that you're not going to continue. So the number of clients that you're going to define in your system would be like an array. Are you sure that you're going to have millions of customers, or maybe like Amazon billions? You have no idea. So this data structure is not efficient. Maybe you say that, you know what? I bought a computer that had lots of hard drive. Who cares? Let's just consider the maximum. This is not efficient. Guys, engineers are not like, okay, you know what? Let's make a building. These are the columns of the building. Put more concrete. we should consider all the details when you want to build anything. There is no difference between creating an application or building a skyscraper. Anyway, so we needed something that can be flexible. If today you have 100 and tomorrow 1000, it could just change the size. And that is nothing but, tell me. No, sir, linked list. So they started, guys, it was like one day somebody woke up and said, you know what? Not variables like this, not arrays. We need something flexible. And let's have, if for instance you have 20, let's save 20 here. But what if I want another block? I'm going to have another block, right? And imagine that 15 is in here, right? And then I'm gonna say, hey, point from here to this place. And if this is the last element, I'm gonna just say, this one is not gonna point to anywhere. Does that make sense? So because we have a list of items, Festus, that we are gonna link them together, we call it link list. The name is self-descriptive. And if you add another one, like, and this is something that you're going to learn in data structure, but let me, like number 7, for example, this guy is going to point to this. And let me just add a few more. This one is going to add to another one. Imagine that it is 2. And that is the last element. So this guy points to null, to nowhere. Okay, one thing. Imagine that you want to add something in the middle of an array. Is it possible? Imagine that you have number 2, 1, 7, 5, 6. Is it possible to add something between these two? How?
If we are sure of their index.
Only, no, I'm saying that it is fixed. Only if you bring this guy one level up, this guy one level up, right? And then you are gonna have one space, and that is gonna be lots of effort and energy just to simply add something, insert something in the middle of the array. We can, definitely. How about increasing the size? Listen, if you have 1000 and you already finished the 1000, is it possible to increase the size? No, you need to say, we have two strategies, 10% increase or percentage of the increase, or double the size. You have to copy everything to a new array with double the size, and then increasing the index for the rest of the things. Does that make sense? And it needs to have that copy. Guys, don't think that, who cares? I'm gonna copy. That's not the case. Imagine that we're talking about millions or maybe sometimes billions of records. So it's not efficient at all. For that case, look at here, the flexibility that we have. If, for instance, you want to insert something between 15 and 7, you are gonna say, hey, you point to this new element. So this guy's next is going to be 2, for instance, I'm gonna save 10 here. It's going to point to a new element which is added, and 10 is going to point to where 15 pointed before. So 10 is going to show 15's next, and 15's next is gonna be 10. Done. 2 steps. Does that make sense? Again, I'm saying that 10 is going to point to 7, which is going to be 15's previous next. And 15 is going to point to a new element which is added. If you think that, Reza, it's beyond my understanding for now, I'm just touching the topic. I just want you to know what is behind the scene. This is not a data structure course. And in data structure course, you're gonna remember today and this session, I'm sure. Look at this one. What if you want to delete 7? Guys, I'm not talking about, for instance, you want to get rid of 1. I'm not talking about to say it is 0. It's like a brick. You want to hammer it, take it out. In array, it is not possible. You might say that, Reza, it is possible. I just need to say 7 go here, then 5 go here, 6 go here, and done. Yes, lots of effort. It's the worst inefficient way that we can do. But look at this data structure. 15's next is going, what, guys, what is 15's next? 7. It was 7. So 15's next is going to be 15's next. Did you get it? As simple as that. So 15's next is equal to, on the right side, you're going to say old 15's next. Technically, you are going to just point to this one. Does that make sense? Just that computer, please. Yeah. Okay. By saying that, we know the concept of array, we know the concept of linked list. But today's lesson is all about list. List is a kind of nice, neat, edited version of linked list. You don't need to worry about many things. When it was the era of linked list, you have to be careful of defining all those pointers and so on. Here, everything, all the mess is behind the scene. You just see a nice, neat presentation. Hi there. Okay. You're gonna start watching this 6-minute video, and then you're gonna implement the code.
A list is a data structure that represents a list of objects that can be accessed by index. It's similar to an array, but they can increase and decrease dynamically in size during runtime, which arrays cannot do. So here's an example of an array. An array has a static fixed size, and we cannot change it normally after runtime. So let's create a standard array just for this example. Let's create an array of food. String food equals new string, and let's say that this array has a size of 3. So I'm going to add some elements to this array. And then I can display these elements with a simple for each loop. Pizza, hamburger, and hot dog. So if I attempt to add another element to this array, this is what happens. We'll run into an exception, and index out of range exception, because index was outside the bounds of the array. So you can't normally change the size of an array. Another option is to use a list. A list can increase and decrease dynamically in size during runtime. So let's create a list. Step 1 is that we'll need to import system.collections.generic. So to include this at the top, I'll place it right underneath using system. And this is how to declare a list. List Then within angle brackets, list the type of object you would like to store, strings. And then I will name this list food equals new list, angle brackets, the data type again, parentheses, semicolon.
Okay, just look at this one, everyone. Here, when you say list, you have angular brackets, and inside it, you're gonna define if it is string, if it is integer, double, or whatever, right? This is a kind of new thing in programming. When I'm saying new, it's 30 years old, but it's not that much old like the concepts that we have, like array and so on. Huh? And we call this one generics. What is the use of generics? Just think about it. I do not need, Jordan, to define different data structure if I want to take care of the string. I do not need to have different class for it. I'm gonna reuse the same class for different data types. Means that, hey, just stretch it to string, or just change the size to integer or double and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? So that is why we have that angular brackets. The other thing is, guys, I promised that everything that we have would be either object or class in C#. You remember that? So what do you think? Whenever we have something like list, it has come from a class list. And look at the other side, we have parentheses, means that it is
An object.
definitely it is a constructor based on that list who created for us that object, right? And what is the object here? Food is an object, right? And how you occupy memory, which keyword occupies memory for us? Lovely, new, right? Does it make sense? So now you created a data structure which is flexible called food, and you want to add items into it, right? We'll look at this one.
Just name food. And to add elements to this list, there is a built-in add method, food dot add. Then within this method, pass in the object you would like to store. I would like to store, let's say, a pizza, then a hamburger, then a hot dog. So food dot add pizza, hamburger, and hot dog. And let's take a look. So we have our pizza, hamburger, and hot dog. And I bet we can add even more than 3 elements. So it appears that our list can resize dynamically, which is a bonus. Then to access one of these elements, it's much like it can resize dynamically, which is a bonus.
Okay, so please take your time, now implement this one, and who could finish, please just give me a signal. Done. You're gonna see. You have tons of examples today. Okay. Done. Done. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, let's watch the rest. What do you guess before you get to that? Just type console, right line, some asterisk, some stars before that for each to split it. And say console right line, food and pass index 0, for example. See if it's going to print that. Console right line, food 0. So you can see it's pretty much like arrays. Pardon me? Okay, awesome. So look at this one, please.
One of these elements, it's much like an array, you use that set of straight brackets. So I'm going to display whatever's within element number 0, food index 0,
Uh-huh.
and that would be pizza. So accessing an element is the same as an array. You just type the list name and then add a set of straight brackets, then the index number. Okay, so here's a few other useful methods of lists. There is a remove method, food dot remove. Then type in what you would like to remove. I would like to remove fries.
No.
And
Okay, guys, remove the fries. Done. Okay, let's see.
no fries is missing. Pizza, hamburger, hot dog. So that is the add method and remove method, but there's a few other useful methods. So we can insert an object as
So just comment that line, please.
a given element. Let's insert maybe sushi at index 1 via the insert method. Food dot insert, then we need an index and an item. So at the beginning of our list, at index 0, I will insert sushi. Sushi, pizza, hamburger, hot dog, fries. We can get the current size.
Okay, could you insert, please? Done? Bravo.
The count property. So within a right line statement, I'm going to display food dot count property,
Count is gonna show the number of elements that we have in our list, right?
and the current size of our list is 4. So that is the count.
Just try that too. Count. Whenever you are done. How about this? Guys, say food dot sort. Let's say sort dot food. and see if both works or not. The difference between function and method.
We can find the index of an element.
So if you say food dot sort, what's going to happen? It's going to sort it alphabetically, right? Guys, did you see that? If you say food dot sort, it's going to sort it alphabetically. After that, say food dot reverse. What's going to happen? It's going to reverse, sort it in descending order, because first you said sort, then you said, okay. And if you comment the sort part, it's going just to reverse the list, means that first you start with fries, then hot dog, then hamburger, and then pizza, right? So let's see. The next thing is it says that using the index, for instance, you want to see what is the index of hot dog. Let's see.
Of. And let's find where pizza is.
No, pizza. Okay.
So that is at index 0.
Okay. Just search for that. Index of is going to bring you if there is. You see that? Okay. Just intentionally search for pizza with 3Z. See what's going to return. Okay. Search for another thing which is not in the list. Search for masala dosa. It's -1. So what does it mean?
The element does not exist.
When it is, so is it possible to say if the return of that value is -1, then we can simply handle it saying the item was not found in the system, right? Okay, good to know.
Index of a given item. So what if we have fries both in the beginning and at the end? Food dot add fries. So I have that in the beginning and at the end. So I'm going to use the
Okay, guys, please check again index of fries while you have 2 fries. Which one is going to show you? 0 or 4? 0. So technically index of is going to search for the first occurrence of an item. Guys, are you following? Index of is going to bring the first occurrence. Imagine that in your list, you have 100 of something. It's going to pick the first. What if you want the last occurrence? Let's see.
of method. Food dot last index of fries.
This one is going to give you 4. So please try it. You have more food in your plate. Don't. What was it? Okay, done.
Index of fries is at 4.
Hmm.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me get rid of that. Okay, we can check to see if our list contains a given item using the contains method. Food dot contains.
Okay, contains is going to tell you if you have it in a list or not, right? So you want to see, for instance, among the courses, if somebody took that course or not. So let's see.
Pizza. This will return a Boolean.
It's gonna be true or false, right?
If pizza is within our list and false if not. Pizza is within our list, so that returns true. And that is the contains method. Then we have sort.
Okay, just try contains, please. And whenever you are done, give me a signal. Bravo. Awesome.
Sort. This will sort our list alphabetically. So our list in alphabetical order is fries, hamburger, hot dog, pizza, and we can sort in reverse order. Food, reverse.
Well, it's not sort on reverse order. It's going to reverse the list that we have, right? So it's not kind of correct way of saying it.
And our list in reverse order is fries, hot dog, hamburger, pizza. We clear our list. Food, cleared.
So we tried remove. Remove is going to take one item at a time, huh? But if you say clear, then there is no list. Huh? And if you just say
Now let's
show,
update.
it's not gonna show anything because you already.
We can convert our list into an array. So I'm going to declare a new array. String, let's say food array equals food dot to array. String item in food array.
Okay. Try this one.
String item in food.
Okay, the reason for that is, that's the question. I want you to think about it. Why, after all this hustle and bustle, we just end up saying, you know what? Put everything that we have in a list into an array. Why? Good guess, Sarah? That's perfect. Actually, guys, imagine that you have done all those changes. And yes, you want to say something? Well, you know, sometimes it happens at the beginning, you're not sure about the size of the data set, right? And the best and the safest is using list. But when you have a clear understanding about what's going to happen in your data set, then the size is almost clear for you. You're going to say, you know what? Let's bring everything from the list into where? Into an array. The reason for that is, guys, look at this one. Let me give an example which is clear for you, man. Look at this one. Imagine that you want to go from your home to another friend's home and to Centennial, right? So guys, it's going to take lots of time and TTC will not work properly, right? But imagine that if all your friends and families are in one apartment, then you have no excuse to say that the bus was not working, right? So you go from one level to another one. Guys, this is the most efficient if you are aware of the number of elements. So that is why finally we decided to do what? Decided to say, you know what? Just convert everything, bring everything to one array, right? So let me just show that to you and hide this one.
Pizza, hamburger, hot dog, fries. Well, okay then, everybody. That is a list. It's similar to an array. It's a data structure that represents a list of objects that can be accessed by index. It's similar to an array, but they can increase and decrease dynamically in size. But they waste more memory. So yeah, those are lists in C#.
Okay, what I'm gonna do, you're going to have this for those who left behind. You see that exactly like what he did. Everything is commented. You can just, for any reason, if you want to try it again. Give me a second, please. In a group, somebody said C#. I guess now you can see that, and here it is. Spend 2-3 minutes with your team members, okay, with your neighbors, and explain what you understand from it, please. It's really nice. It really depends on the environment that you're in. And if you're using Apple, it needs. But the recent version we Microsoft 2020, we don't speak that. And for doing that, you see the library. And then can you just tell them? Sure. That's it, yeah. Anything you know, instead of saying this one or this one or this one else, this one and this one. Awesome. Okay. Pardon me?
Without using system collection and generic it works.
Then your computer has problems. Today, let's okay, guys, why it works without system.collection.things? Because 2022 already included all the needs that you, all the libraries that you might need. That's one thing. But if you use Apple, for example, you have to just import those kind of things, right? You needed to import them. All right, on top. Yeah, so, okay, but these are not a big deal. The libraries, for instance, just say the library that I need for collections, the library that I need for lists, and it's gonna show you C#. Just Google it, simply you can find it. One of our team members asked me that, Reza, how about this? I'm working on this book. I remember in the previous semester, one of our team members, she started using one book and she just got amazing result. I was like, wow, what a kind of, I always teased her that saying that, what is your book? Apparently it has all the answers. So the thing is, I'm not saying this one or this one or this one. My suggestion is always use this helping mechanism and this YouTube, podcast, Udemy. And just remember, because you're a student, you can use many of the resources for free. Like one of the advanced resources that you could find is inside LinkedIn. Because you're a Centennial student, it's free for you. Okay, so let's go to the next part. I hope that you have a kind of grasp of what list is, but a simplest version of list is having list of integers, strings, and these kind of things. What if I want to have list of objects? Do you think that it's gonna work the same way? I have no clue, and that was the question that I received from one of the team members. I think that Jordan asked that question. So let's see. Um, uh-oh. We have a situation here. Yeah. Okay, guys. I'm sorry. I have no clue what is happening in this code, but maybe you're gonna see similar things in today's quiz. So please just first try the class player. Define a class player. Whenever you are done, give me a signal, please. Done. Bravo. Done. Merci. So define a class player and write the whole program after that. Well, why not? Sorry. Lack of. Well, did you finish the whole code? So, then manage the team, explain what you learned. So, thank you. What are you searching for? And then Control A. Control K, edit format. Control K, edit format. Does that make sense? You don't need to, oh, you want uncommented? Control K, C. Yeah, K, C. It's commented, no? But it should happen without, I do it without happening at the same time. Control KU is gonna uncomment. Okay, guys, those who finished, please explain what you learned from it to your neighbor. Okay. And Irene, the best practice is having a file, a text file, right? Whatever the code you're typing, just bring it there. Yeah. Okay, for those who left behind for any reason, now you have the code. You can just spend a few seconds, read the code. Aswin, does it work? Aswin, does it work? Yep. Works? Not properly? Sorry?
Not properly. Yes.
Does. Awesome. Work properly, sir. When man says it works properly. Okay, so look at this one. It's, oh, shoot. My goose is cooked. First thing first, guys, let's go through the code together and see how we can fix it or how we can make it better. First thing first, where is the class? Everybody, please pay attention to this. Here we have a class name player, huh? And then this class, guys, what do we call this guy? Why? First, because we defined it private. That's one. The other thing is we just use this, what do we call this guy? Lovely, because the name of constructor is the same as the name of a class. And what do we pass? It's an argument that well, that's a parameter that we have here as the input of the constructor, and we pass that variable into the field that we have, huh? That's the first thing. Okay, one, I'm not saying that's the best practice, correct me later, but one quick solution could saying that this one is public, huh? And then what I'm gonna do is to say player dot username. I can see it now, right? And have that. So this time, if I run it, it's gonna show me those people, right? Which is not the best practice. One friend asked me, Reza, what is post that you mentioned in motivational task number 3? Guys, what is post? Man, I said post because you can just remember public override, say string to string, right? You don't need to memorize it then. And in that one, you are gonna say what? Tell me. You're gonna just simply the username that you have here, you're just gonna return that thingy. Does that make sense? As simple as that. And now remember, here it is just player. We just solve the issue and it works like Mercedes, right? Okay. The next thing, so please just fix these 2 issues. Little by little, sir. Okay. Whenever you are done, just give me a signal. Done, done. Okay. Man, you're in a different class, right? So, Manav. Chokan. Yeah, I saw the hands. And awesome. Santiago and Jordan and okay. Every time we are going to have some friends in the list. And the Edgar. Okay, Garv, this one, tit for tat for coming late. Okay, now we are even. So Philip and Arafat and Jainam. And thank you, Rishi and Vaibhav, right? Okay, look at this one. How about this, guys? Can you please tell me how to change this one to a property? Yes. Prop tab. Oh, okay. And then this guy is going to be string, and this guy is going to be this one. And just you need to change all these thingies, right? Here and here. And then we are done. As simple as this. Yes, as simple. Pardon me? We exactly need to do that. Why? Because, guys, if you have a chance between choosing field and properties, a professional developer chooses properties because you have control. Even if you don't impose any restriction, you use this one. Does it make sense? Guys, he texted me. Yeah, so. Okay, done. Done? Just spend a few seconds. Let me just give you this altered version of the code for those who left behind. Just compare this one with the previous one. Now you have an altered version of the code. Okay. I'm going to explain. We have a class called player. And in that class, we have just one property, right? And that property, if you just have any restrictions, the best is to have a property and a field and just link them together. But for now, because we don't have any regulations, it is just fine to use only property. Look at this one. Here, I just use, what do we call it? Because intentionally, I go very slow through it because I want to make sure that you are ready for the next part. So we say that let's have a constructor. We pass an argument to that property. You remember I sent something in the previous week saying that why the best practice is using properties and not fields in such cases. And then we said, let's override string to string kind of thing, because we don't want to receive a class name when you just say print the object, right? By saying that, we get here and look at this one. Irene, what we do here is we define a list of player. We use a class, we didn't say string, we didn't say integer. We said list of players. Now, do you see the benefit of using angular brackets? Right, Janam? We use angular brackets because we want to have a list of players. The blue color could be anything, Reza, ABC, whatever. But this one is the name of a class. We want to have many list of players. Guys, you have chance to just type. Now just be here. Guys, and please do not make me just tell every single one, please be here, please be here, please be here, just be here. And then we say, let's have a player one, and you just call what? A constructor, and then the first name, second name, the third name. So you have those three people. Does that make sense? But now you have three objects. You are gonna say, go to the list, add the first object to the list, second object to the list, and third object to the list. Does that make sense? And that is why when you say that for every single item in a players, just show me the player. It could be, guys, and that's a nice naming, employee employers. If you say that name names, does that make sense? Okay, by saying that, we already got this, but is it necessary? That's my question. Is it necessary to define all those plates? Yes or no? Okay, whoever could just get rid of that player one and show me the result, please just do it individually and then raise your hand. I'm going to check on your computer and assign bonus, please. No. The thing is, instead of having player one, just use new player chart. Okay, just delete player one. Nobody. Coming. Do the same thing for the rest. That's the, that's the. Good job. Who else? Hands were up. Do the same thing for the rest as well, please. Good job. Okay, guys, this is a. Even if it works, you didn't add it to the layer, did you? Yeah, that's one. That's fine. Yeah, that's actually something that I want to teach and this is. Yeah. How about this? Yes. Can you check the Iris, can you just share your? Yes, done. I'm coming. Can I see that? Can you see? It has a squiggly on it. It works or it doesn't. Okay, so can I guys, this is something like a challenge of time and. Good. So please allow me to continue. So can I see it? But the thing is, yes, done. Okay. Can I have your attention, please? Everybody. One of the things that I saw some of you could do is simply just saying instead of player 1, player 2, you don't need any temporary. Why is it chat? For instance, Reza, John, whatever. Shoot. What do we call it? Reza. This time Jack. Rose. Whatever. Okay. Guys, look at this one. Here, I just created I just created an object instantly without putting it into a plate named player 1, player 2, player 3. I just instantly created one object and added to the list because the list contains several, as you see, players, right? Do you see that? Now the question for you, and I saw that some of you have done that. Is it possible to add this guy here in the list? How can we do that? So we just say this one, comma, this one, comma, this one, right? Jack, Rose. And this is another way, like you remember the time that we wanted to define an array and initialize it. It's exactly like that. And if you just run the code, it does exactly the same thing. Does that make sense? So now, after that, and actually only Irene had that approach. The rest used the second approach. So please, everybody, try this one too. Done? Done? Okay, look at this one. If I go to the code, you see that the first thing that we did, guys, you're gonna have the whole code, so don't worry about this. The first change that we did was what, Festus? Having this one. The second change, and I mentioned a better version, guys. Remember what is the thing that we had here? A field. But look at the, still here we have field. The second thing that I changed was just replacing all these thingies, right? Adding on the fly those guys. Look at this one. We say player.add, and we just added those things. Does that make sense? Let me just before anything, let me just say, how about the following approach? And then I'm going to add this new kind of approach to have it. And guys, how much you're familiar with that? And unfortunately or fortunately, we already have that, what do we call it? Challenge, you're already done. So for the player, we, instead of using field, we used property. Does that make sense? Okay, everybody, please let's watch this one together.
I'm going to show you how we can create a list of objects from the custom classifiers. In the last video, I showed you all how we can create a list of strings. But what if we would like to create a list of players to keep track of the amount of players in our game and their names? So let's create a list. List, then we need angle brackets and the data type of the object we would like to store within our list. I would like to store player objects, and I'll name this list players because we're keeping track of the players. Players equals new list, angle brackets, our data type again, player, parentheses, semicolon. So we now have a list that can store player objects. So let's instantiate some player objects. And I have a field setup username. You can also set up getters and setters too if you prefer. So let's create some player objects. Player, and we'll call this player one equals new player. But we need to pass in a username as an argument. Let's say that this is Chad. And I'll create maybe two more players. So player one, player two, player three. Player two will be, what about Steve and Karen? Okay, now to add our player objects to our list, type the name of the list, dot, add, and then pass in the name of the object. Players dot add player one, then do the same thing with player two and player three. Then I'll use a for each loop to display all of these. For each, the data type is player, player, in players. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to console.writeLine each player. But since we're displaying
Okay, what's gonna be the output?
each object directly, what's going to be displayed is the namespace plus the data type of our object. We can access the username field, and that will display each player's username, or we can override the toString method. So we have Chad, Steve, and Kieran, or we can override the toString method. So let's try that too. Public override toString, and I'm going to return username. So then when I use console.writeLine, I can just type in the object's name. So we have Chad, Steve, and Karen. Now, another thing that you can do when we instantiate these player objects, we can do so anonymously. So within the add method of our list of players, we can simply just pass in new player, then pass in a name. And then we don't necessarily need to create a name for each of these objects. So I'm going to pass in new player Steve and new player Karen. So this is optional, but I like to create anonymous objects. It's less work. So we should have our three players, Chad, Steve, and Kieran. So yeah, that's how to add objects to a list within the angle brackets. Just list.
So the good thing is now you just simply know if anything is missing in my explanation, the videos are there. Okay, look at this one, and you're gonna have the code by hopefully tonight. Let's say maybe tomorrow maximum. So I'm not sure when gonna get to my computer tonight. So the thing is, for this one, here's the video. And then intentionally, I went through the whole things this time, and then I said, let's review and understand what is happening in the code. But the next part is actually one example that I have borrowed from this website. And if you check, it is this one. You have it there. I want you please first write exactly this code, everyone. And if your country is not among the countries, please add it. Yeah. Okay. This is super simple. Whenever you are done, just quickly in 30 seconds, explain what we are doing in here. Explain it to your neighbor. Okay. Everybody, you can see that we say, let's have a list of strings, call it countries, and we add some countries into it, right? And the thing is, we say that for every single member, for every single country in countries, just print them. Does that make sense? But look at this one. We never suggest, if you can, to use a specific data type, never use var. And the reason for that is you put the burden on the shoulder of computer. Simply you hover the mouse and see what it tells you, right? And it says that, hey, use just list generic T. And for this one, I understand if I just replace it here, it's gonna just work flawlessly. For this one, if I just hover the mouse here, it says that what? Just use a string. So I'm gonna just say string and it works flawlessly as well, right? And look at this. It's gonna be like that. So I suggest that alter your code, make it a bit better like this. Done. So you see that in a better version that I mentioned here, you have already replaced those. And then instead of saying add every single country like that, we have practiced a few seconds ago, like arrays, you can just bring all those countries between curly braces the time that you want to define and initialize the list at the same time. Here, just replace it, please. Done, Sarah. Excellent. And as you already know, a better version of it, instead of saying var countries, you're gonna say list, list string. And instead of saying var country in countries, you're gonna say string. Lovely. And by saying that, we just get to the slides that Narendra was kind enough to provide for us. So if you see explanation, I'm not gonna take your time, but just quickly, I read this for you. It says that it's a collection, list is a collection, and a list is an object that can hold objects. And the objects could be simple integers, strings, or the object of user-defined classes. But the important thing that I changed the color is a list is a generic collection type, which means that a declaration, which means that at declaration, you specify the type of object. You remember when we said list angular brackets, that's the place you define your class. By saying that, if you look, it's now 9:54. Let's have 10 minutes break. We're gonna start sharp at 10:05. Thank you. Okay, everybody, please look at this example. this is slide number 4. Actually, first it says that let's define a list of integers, call them events. Sorry, events. And these are going to be even numbers. In this line, you see that declaration happens separately from initialization. In the next line, we say that, okay, occupy memory for it. How we can understand that? By saying that's new. And then we are going to just assign values like 2, 4, and 6 to the list. And then for every single element, just show them. So please, muscle memory, try this one. Done. Awesome. Great. Okay. And then let's just combine these two lines into one, like this, and see if it works. Done. Bravo. The next example that we have is defining a list and initializing the values in the same line. Let's call them numbers. You can just modify the one that you already have. Just here, we use double instead of integer. Sorry, the next example as well. So just try this one and then double numbers, this time say double numbers and assign those two. Done. Awesome. For those who left behind for any reason, then you have the code. Just please be careful. You have to just copy this part separately. Done. Awesome. The next part that I want you to consider, let's have a list of prime ministers. So PMS, prime ministers. And then we have Trudeau, Harper, Martin, Creighton, and then Campbell. And then say string name in PMs, or the better naming could be string PM in PMs. Just print them. Done. Bravo. The next one, I don't know how. I give you the program main part, and I want you, who was the supporter? Hey, Ivan. Ivan is in this class? Who? Oh, Ivan? Oh, I think that Edgar. Two names, okay. I have several names, don't worry. So let's just have this. You have the program part, and then I don't know how, based on the things that we have here, and we see we have 5 and 10. So apparently we need to have something like width and length, huh? Define a class and please define it properly using properties instead of fields. Whoever could finish, please just raise your hand and then I'm gonna check your. Well. Does it work? So just wait a sec. You have this class go up. That's why I suggested not have any of those, bring them all into one file. I read, open a text file, just copy, you're gonna see that, especially the picture. And in that case, you're gonna have lots of space. Good job. Good, how about you? Good job. Colin? Let's see. Okay. Okay, accept. Let me just. Okay. Good. Okay, done, Kyle. Good. Done. Let me just give you the markers. Just give me a, okay. Colin, can you just double check with our friend if everything is fine, Colin? Can you just double check with if there are similar things? Sorry, because it's hard for me to come all the way. Festus Bravo and Jainam. Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you, Jordan. And Don. Did you finish? Garth, thank you. And there is another awesome. I gave you the mark. Yeah. Done. Okay. Can I have your attention, please? Look at this one. Yes, as many of you have already finished, we say public int width getter setter, public int length getter setter, right? And then we say public rectangle, we pass width with small w, length with small l. We pass them to the properties, to widths and length properties respectively. And that is override that Amika, you were about to finish that part, right? And then another solution for this problem statement is, guys, you have the code now. I want you to just imagine that you haven't seen this. Just bring these 3 lines in curly braces here. You have the code. So done. Okay. How about this? Yeah, this is something that I want you to spend just a few seconds, explain what you learned from list and from this example to your friend. Just explain it. And if, for instance, previously Saram was the one who explained it to the team, this time Arafat, you take the role and just explain it to people. And guys, try to correct your friend if they have any problem or something, okay? Done. Okay, so how about this one, guys? Imagine that you have a list, right? What is this list? List an integer. Let's call it numbers. And then you're gonna add 300 at the end, okay? So please just quickly type this. We are gonna type almost 100 examples today, so. Pardon? Just this example, muscle memory, try it. Done. Great. Merci. The next example, it's a kind of the same thing. Look at the differences between these two. It's a kind of shorthand. So it says that, hey, whenever you say list int numbers equal to new, I'm 100% sure that we are going to have similar constructor, right? Default constructor. So why should we bother? I'm gonna consider it for you, right? Look at this one, that in here, we just need to have those from constructors. Look at this one. From constructors, I just get rid of the same thing that I have here. It's gonna be a shorthand, that's it. Just try that for this example and for the next example as well. These are new methods, very new compared to the practices that we had before. And this is actually new for me as well. This is the other thing. Guys, which part I should just get rid of? Exactly the same thing that you have on the left side. So you just get rid of that part, right? And then this is a shorthand. I don't know, maybe because I'm a kind of old school. I prefer not to. I prefer to have a complete code, but we just practice all these things because of two reasons. Maybe that is Reza, who likes to have a complete version of the code. And more importantly, if you go and somebody wrote the code that way, you can understand what is happening, right? So please try that too. These are the prime ministers, Trudeau, Harper, Martin. And then add Mulroney at the end, saying that pms.add Mulroney. Done. Awesome. You have the code. And then just change this code to complete version. I know it is super easy for you. You just need to copy this part and just bring it here. My apologies. Right? And then one quick question. How about deleting something from the list. Okay, guys, remove, I'm not saying who, but remove any prime minister that you want to remove. Okay. Okay, how about this? What if you want to add a range? What does it mean? Means that, imagine that you have a list, you want to add that list to the current one. Does that make sense? For doing so, guys, imagine that you are going to say TMS add range. Well, because I was lazy, let's just use the same TMS. It's going to add the current list at the end of the list, right? So it's going to be like doubling the list. Please try it. Done. Awesome. Thank you. Done. Yes. Awesome.
I'll do something. The other thing is. Second one.
Search in YouTube how to. There is one application that you install here. It's going to be the second monitor of your. Okay. So how about this? If guys look at this one, Control C, I'm going to just try it here. So we add Mulroney at the end, but we are going to add the current list, right? So Trudeau all the way to Mulroney. And we have, again, Trudeau that we added all the way to Mulroney. How about this? Here we say we have numbers 1 all the way to 6 and numbers 2, 100, 200, and 300. And then we say, let's add range, the same thing at the end of numbers. So if you just say print everything, guys, try it yourself, please. Muscle memory again. And it's going to show a result like this. Guys, do you see how you feel when I want to show you the just result? That's why whenever the quiz or the exam we have, please bring this guy here. Then you can see the code as well, right? So please do it. Done. Awesome. Let's see. Thank you. Okay. Those who left behind. Now you have the code. The next thing that we practice is inserting an item to a list, but in a specific place. So guys, you have the list of prime ministers. Say insert to index 2. Guys, what would be the place? Is it going between Harper and Martin, or between Martin and Cretin? Harper and Martin. Exactly. So it is 0, 1 here in position 2. We are gonna insert William. Does that make sense? So guys, you have, let me just do one thing. You have everything except insert part. Just please insert, use the insert this line. Add this one yourself. Yes, done. Bravo. Thank you. Okay, done. Let's go to the next part together. Here, just removing, you have already practiced the way that it shows before and after. The last two examples that we had, like adding in a specific index, the way that you tried, and this one. Please just explain what you learned, switch the presenter's role, right? So the one who explained before, now they should be listeners, and the other way around. And explain these last two codes. Means this one and this one. Okay. Andy, everything is fine? This test. Okay, how about this line? So, okay. Let's go to the next part together. Guys, we practiced removing name of a prime minister. Imagine that you have everything all the way to this part. And I want you to complete the code. Please complete the code. Okay. Okay, guys, this time we didn't say remove just something. We said remove at. What is at? Is it going to remove number 1 from the list?
Number two, index one.
So index 1. So the result, that is why the result would be 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Please try this. Okay. And the next one, we say removing items, and look at the thing. We said removing items. Tell me here, when I say, let's just try it in front of you and you do it yourself. Before these asterisks, it's going to show you 1, 2, 6. But here I say 1 and 3. I cannot understand what is happening. So technically means 2, 3, 4. What if I just say remove 1 and 2? It's going to just remove 2 and 3. Is it possible to say 2 and 2? What's gonna be removed? Look, guys, that is what you needed to practice yourself. When it says the first one is the index of the one that you want to remove, the second one is the number of steps. Means, guys, what is index number 2? It's 3. How many steps should I go and delete? 2. I'm gonna take 3. I'm gonna take 4. Does that make sense? Okay, so please try this. Try it with your team members. Yeah. Okay, nice. You got it? Let's go to the next part together. It says that removing all, for removing all, what should we do, Rishi? Is it clear? Awesome, so please try it. Done? Bravo. Okay. Sometimes you want to see if somebody or a number or sometimes a record is inside the items that you have in a list. For doing that, you check using contains. You remember that we practiced it? So imagine that you want to see if Mulroney is inside the list or not. Guys, is it yes or no? Yeah, so it is false. And because we said if it contains Mulroney, it is false. It's not going to get there. And it goes to the next statement, which is else. Look at this one. It's going to say it is, let me just say not capital in the list. You see, it says it's not in the list. But what if I just replace And then it says that Trudeau is present in the list. Does that make sense? So everybody, you have this part. Let me just bring, yeah, that's what we need. You have this part, please, for the rest. Complete the code. Thank you. Okay. Change the name of a prime minister, try to search or search something which is not in the list. Done. Look at this one. The next part is traversing. We already learned how to use for each, but that's not the only way. We all know that we can simply use the old-fashioned form of for, which is just for using index, for instance, I, which starts from 0, all the way to, guys, remember this one, count, which is going to return the number of elements that you have. So index starts from 0 all the way to count -1, huh? So you can just simply say, as long as I is less than the list.count, or less than or equal count -1. Does that make sense? Okay. Please, everybody, let me just give you the hardest part. And the thing is here, guys, do you like the naming here? So it should be number in numbers, right? So let's just have that part and that part, but first complete what I'm going to delete. Reza, why are you doing that? Yeah, complete this deleted part plus correct the naming here, these two challenges. Okay, can I have your attention, please? Everybody? Guys, we know that you can simply define list of integers, call it numbers, for example, and then you say new list of integers and having that constructor, or the shorthand having everything there. And for I, integer I, start from 0 all the way to the end of the list, which is going to be less than 1 before numbers that count. And then just print the values, every single item here. One of the things that we said, let's just fix, is using that for each number. In numbers, just print that number. Does that make sense? Okay, by saying that, we get to this example. Here we have list of prime ministers. And this time we want to traverse, we want to go through all the prime ministers. And then guess what? Here we are gonna check. Let's print those that the name of prime minister is greater than number 6. Does that make sense, everybody? Please, I'm gonna give you all these parts, but the rest is going to be your muscle memory. Here it is. Let me just show those prime ministers that the number of characters in their name is above 6. Works. Awesome. Okay. How about this? Choose those one. It says that start with, right? Simply, please try this one for each prime minister in prime ministers list. If the prime minister starts with C, then print it. Else don't. Done. Thank you. Done. Awesome. Done. Bravo. Okay. Look at this one. Guys, there is something that we actually added. Let me just show you here. We added in new concepts in programming, and that is using join. It's slide number. I'm gonna tell you, unfortunately, it was like slide number 11, Control C. Give me a second, sorry, to fix that before I send it to you. So slide number 8, 9. How about this? I think that this one is 10. Yes. Content length is 9. This one is 9 as well. And then 11, but how about there's something is missing. So the one that starts with C is 10. And I think that this one is 10 as well. 6 letters is this one, which is 10 as well. But the traversing is 9. So everything is shifted. I guess that I have added something somewhere. I'm going to just fix it before I send it. Just hopefully number 7 is the last one. Remove. Searching. And where is it? Contains is 8. Contains is 8. And this one is going to be these two are 7. Remove. Yes, this one is 7, 7. And this one is remove at 7. And this one is just remove, it is 7 too. Okay. I'm gonna just fix that later anyway. So let's just go to the last part, the last element that we have here. And it is, imagine the old version of it was using for every name or for every PM inside PMs, just write it. But one of the things that just added to modern languages like Python and C#, Java, they copied from that simple structure is this one, using join. By saying join, it means that, hey, go to PMs, go to the list, and get every single element of that list and join them together. And the only thing, the only wall that you have between the items in a list is something that you mention as the first elements. Look at this one. I have a list of prime ministers and then join them together, just have one space among them. If I just want to show you, and I want you to spend good amount of time with your neighbors, and it is super easy, guys. I give you this part, Control C, but the rest before you start typing, that's a tendency that we all have, I know, but wait for a couple of seconds. Look at this one. Here, if I run the code for the first one, you see simply it's gonna split the name of prime ministers using what? Using a space. For the next one, let's just use it here. For the next one, I say just comma. Look at the things that is gonna happen. It is going to show just comma, which is not that much great. It's very stuffy. How about comma space? Then you're gonna see it's going to show you like that. What if you just use \n here? What's going to happen? It's
new line.
it's going to bring it to new line. Look at the thing that we have here, right? But the thing is, the problem why it shows, guys, look at this one. Why it shows that one space here, one space here. It's the reason for that is,
New line.
yeah, so just get rid of that. And what if I just say, let me just first show you, I'm sorry. Did I? Yeah. And now it is aligned. What if instead of saying that, I say \n and \t? What's going to happen? The first one is going to be here, but the next line is going to be next line plus 1 tab, right? Does that make sense? So here are the things that you have it. The first starts with space. Just try everything. And then we are gonna take it from there. You have to trade your mouse. You have to trade. You know what? Because this color is quick. This color, that color. Unless that you want to have an accent. This is a new one. Take it, yeah. Done. Tuesday. Good. Okay. For those who left behind, please, here is the whole code. Make sure that you feel comfortable with the code. Everything is fine. After running the code, please explain the code to your friend, especially what is join? What is the role of join? It is kind of automatic, saying that taking every element and join it using that separator. So please do that. Slide number 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. It's gonna be 6. 6. Okay, so, and the list is fixed, done. Okay, everything is so far clear. Great. Let me just tell you one thing. The next topic that we want to talk, and we're gonna have a quick break after just starting and initializing the thing, is enumerated data. Listen to this part. Have you ever heard about magic numbers? I'm not talking about those that they say you can just have it and it's gonna be your number on lottery. No. Magic numbers in programming. Any number except 0 and 1 would be magic number. Like what? Like what is pi? 3.1415 and so on and so forth. Huh? But never use that in your code. Look at this one, please. Here, it mentioned that we have numbers like that, or tax, which is 0.13. But we never use it that way. And the reason for that is, first, what if, and that happened, I remember in 2007, I had a short trip to Canada. Ontario, the tax rate was 14%. What is it now? 13%. Imagine that you have written some programs. You have to go manually, find everywhere 0.14 and change it to 0.13. This is not efficient. We use something that either never changes or changes rarely. Like what? Like taxes. Never changes, number of days in a week, number of months in a year. So you're gonna put them in something, and look at that down here. It says that constant double pi equal to the number that you have, or the tax rate. One of the thing is, you see, the naming is totally different from variables or methods. All of them are capital letters, right? Listen to this part. Some languages like Python, they do not benefit from having constants. What are constants? The variables that are not going to be variables, means that they're not going to change, right? They are constants. They just use capital letters to say, hey, dear developer, would you please not changing the value of it, please? And if you change it, nobody's gonna bug you. But here, whenever you define constant at the beginning as a keyword, you use constant. If you change it, it's gonna give you an error. Look at this example. Well, in this case, when I have something like this, and pi is already defined as 3.1415. If I decide to change the value of it to 314, look at the error that I received, and the reason for that is I defined it as constant. Does that make sense? So you're not allowed to change it. Everybody, please just try this one. Done. All right. Done. Okay. So okay. Look at this one. We have already used these constants just for the sake of showing you how to use it. Let's have, now it is 11:08. Let's have a quick break, like 7 minutes. We are gonna continue at 11:15. Let's just have a quick break. Thank you. Okay. So I guess now you can hear me. Let's watch this one together. It's a short video. Not this one, this one.
This code is doing. You may say it's multiplying a number by 1.61, but where's that 1.61 coming from? Well, that's the conversion from miles to kilometers, but nowhere in this code do we know that this is happening. Some people will come in here and add a comment, or they'll maybe change around the function name or the variable names to make it more clear, but there's still some ambiguity around this 1.61. We should make this explicit because right now this is what I call a magic number, which is just a hard-coded number with no context around it. Instead, we should convert this to a variable and use that instead. By doing this, we're going to end up with code like this, where we have a variable which is specifically named miles to kilos, and we have it in all uppercase because that's standard for global variables that don't change at all. And we're setting it to this value of 1.61. So we can read our code function and very easily see what is going on instead of seeing this magic number of 1.61. And this doesn't just have to apply to numbers. In this example, I've taken all these strings, I converted them into variables with specific names so we know exactly what all these different strings represent. Can you tell me what this code is doing?
Okay. So by saying that, we already got this one and the constant, the example that I provided for you, you can simply get there in W3 schools, constant, C# if you search. It's going to show you here and says that if you define something like my_num and you change it in the next line, it's going to give you error. And you can just try it yourself. And after that, we get to a new concept, totally new concept. And that is enumerated data. We have enums or enumerated data in many languages, including C#, Python. And this is a video that I want you please watch. Let's watch it together.
Right, what's going on, people? Enums. Enums are a special kind of class that contains a grouping of named integer constants. We do use enums when we have values that we know will not change. So here's an example. Let's create an enum of planets, and we will associate a planet number with each named planet. So to create an enum, type enum, then a unique name, kind of like we're creating a class, then curly braces. So I'm going to add the name of each planet within our solar system, beginning with Mercury, and then separate each with a comma. So we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, then just continue on in this pattern. This isn't necessary, but I like to place each of my members on a new line within an enum. I think it's easier to read. Okay, we now.
Okay, so everybody, please just, you have your program class and static void main. Just one thing, what is this guy in plants? Can anybody tell me?
It's a class.
Exactly, it's like a special class, right? And not any class, it's a class that you don't need to create object from it. It's a kind of like static class, right? And do you need really necessarily, do you need to have that class inside program class. It's kind of like nested classes, which are complicated. And here, the best is to bring Enum outside program class. That's a comment that I have on this code. So try either of them, please. Oops. Done. Okay, let's see what's gonna happen next.
Planets, and there's an associated integer with each of these members.
Guys, this is something that many people, bachelor graduates, still have this false conception. They think that enumerated data are some strings that they have numbers. Colin, they are numbers that they have the string labels. You got it? I repeat it again. There are some numbers that you just put some labels on it. Okay? What is the label for index 0, for number 0 here? Mercury. What is the label for number 1 here? Venus, Earth, Mars, and so on and so forth, right? So let's see.
Explicitly set an integer. By default, the first member is 0, then 1, 2, 3, then you just follow that pattern. So
I don't know how, just say console dot write line. Try, I don't know how, but say planets dot and see what's gonna receive. The names that you have in your enumerated things, right? Like Mars, Mercury, and so on. Just pick your planet of choice. Not Mars for sure. Okay, done. Yeah. Okay, I'm coming to it, don't worry. Wait. Okay, how about this, guys? Did you write console write line planets dot and something? Before planet, just in parentheses, do typecasting. Say, hey, you know what? I want the real number. Say int in parentheses. See what's gonna happen. If it is Earth, it's going to show you 2, for example. You see that? Okay, it's gonna show you the real. So technically, we deal with a kind of dictionary key value things. And what you see are names. What you see are names. And we have values as well. What we just tried to show by having parentheses integer was value. Look at this one. Let's just go further.
let's play on this. Planets dot Pluto is a planet. So to access a name, of one of these members, you type the name of your enum planets dot the name of your named member, Pluto. This will return the name, not the integer. Let's try it. Pluto is a planet. This is no different from using the toString method. This will do the same thing. Pluto is a planet. Okay, now if we need the associated integer with each of,
What does it mean dot to string? For sure it is a string, huh? Is it for sure string? I have no idea. Do you remember that I said it's a kind of class, a static class? And in static class, you have what? Do you remember that we had post public override string to string? So somebody told in another place that, hey, Reza, you know what? Whenever you use any of the subsidiaries of enumerated data, Arafat, you need to do what? You need to show just name of the enumerated dot name of the member. That's in the post. Somebody has written that for us. If you want to change, you are going to do it. That is why if you say dot to string, or if you don't say it, it's going to just show you the string. Does that make sense? Look at this one.
we would cast this member as an integer. Let's change our message around. Let's say that planets dot Mercury is planet number. Then to access one of the integers stored within a member, that would be planets dot the name of the planet, Mercury, and then we will precede this with parentheses int. This will convert our named member into an integer.
Please just write this console right line. Thank you. Right? Okay, try this one.
Is now Mercury is planet number 0.
Mhm.
So these named members always begin with 0, but we can change that and set them.
So-
Let's say that Mercury equals 1, Venus equals 2, and then continue on.
Okay, guys, without changing any others, just change Mercury into 1, as you see. Let's leave the rest without any number in front. Okay. And run the code again.
Let's display Pluto as well, because Pluto is feeling left out. Planets.Pluto is planet number. Planets.Pluto, then cast as an integer. Okay, Mercury is planet number 1, Pluto is planet number 9.
Okay, look at this one, guys. You just changed Mercury. You just changed the value into 1, right? Without touching any other values, you see that Pluto for you shows planet number 9 as well. Does that make sense? So automatically it's going to consider this number and add 1 into the next and next and next. Right? So it's going to be something like step 1 for the rest of the planets. Okay, I want you to make something funny. Make Mars 40. Just Mars 40 instead of 4. So you have Mercury 1, nothing in front of Venus and Earth, and see what is going to happen to Pluto. So it's going to be 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. Now we know the logic, right? So let's break the game. Say Uranus is 20. Now Pluto is going to be 22. Yeah, 22. Right? Okay, good. So let's go further and see.
Let's create an enum to keep track of the radius of each planet. Enum planet radius. And let me just copy this.
And for
Okay,
this
here's-
one, let me just copy this part of the code to ease the job for us. Let's have just radius. So you have the code inside the Telegram.
439 6051 for Venus. And then I'll just fast forward the footage. You can copy this down if you'd like. All right, we have the radius in kilometers of the
Okay, these are the radius based on kilometers of each of these planets. Does that make sense? So technically, guys, enums are constant values that we have, and we allocate a name for them. Does that make sense? So this is another way of defining constants. Look at it this way. We have some magic numbers that we didn't want to leave them magic numbers, and we want them to just be constant values in a package called enumerated data. Does that make sense? Okay, so we have those guys, and imagine we want to do a few things like, hey, what is the radius of Earth, for example? And what is the volume of a sphere when you have the radius of it? Guys, what is the formula of a sphere? I have forgotten. Can you just check volume sphere? And it should be 4. Google it, man. 4 divided by 3, yes, and okay. So let's see if it is. Where's the guy? Here it is.
So these are in name integer pairs. Let's create a variable to store the name of one of our planets. String name equals, what about right? Planet radius, the name of our enum, dot, the name of our member, Earth. So if we're going to store this within a string variable, we need to use the toString method.
Oh, it doesn't need that. Try it. You remember, we didn't do anything for print. Why here we need to say toString? A person who has the strongest logic will get a bonus mark, a fat bonus mark. Wait, everybody. Then you're going to be first. Why we need to have toString, but in console.writeLine we didn't need to have string. So 1, 2, 3, Rishi. Saram. Yes, Saram?
Okay, so in our consoles array line, we specified whether we wanted the name of the value or if we wanted it to be an integer, and if we're assigning it to the variable string, we use .toString to make sure that it gets like the name of it instead of the value.
Why we don't need to? Okay, here it is optional or it's mandatory. Tell me. Here. Why then? Why you don't need to have it when you say console.writeLine?
Because we specify if it's not an integer, it's gonna be the string.
Thank you for participation, but let's see.
I think by default it is string, so we are assigning integer value to it in the enum data, so in the enum class. So if we want to get the value in string, then we have to convert it to string.
Okay, thank you. Rishi?
By default, the output is in string, so we don't need to like specify the magic in string.
So it means that it is optional. I could just leave it without toString.
Then I specify.
So why? Okay, yes. That's a very wise guess. Okay, let me just tell you guys, as Amika said, when we deal with enum, it already has two parts. One is the name part, which is a string, and the other part is integer part, right? And we are not sure when you just say enum which part you're addressing. Does that make sense? We don't know. So technically, whenever you want to get something from enum, yeah, the default is the name part of enum. You have to say, hey, forget about the class that you have come from. To sit here, you should just convert to string. And that is why you say that to string, because you're going to get the name part of the enum and convert it to string to sit, to make it sit in the string plate. Does that make sense? But why we don't need to say that when you print it using console.writeLine? Because already somebody was kind enough to write, what's the thing? Said post, what is post? Public override string to string. Somebody took care of it for us. We don't need to worry about it. Does that make sense? I quickly just say that. Guys, whenever you want to bring that guy into a plate, which is a string, you have to say, you know what? I know it is an enumerated data. I'm going to convert it for you to string, which you can fit it on this plate. But for printing, when you say console.writeLine, somebody already taken care of public override string to string and just show you the name of a member that you want. Does that make sense? Okay, let's just go further.
This just tested. Let's say planet, space, plus name. And this should display just Earth. Planet, Earth. Okay, let's get the radius of Earth. Int radius equals planet radius dot Earth, then cast this as an integer. Console.writeLine, let's say radius space plus radius. Radius 6371. Let me add kilometers. So that's kind of the nice thing about enums is that we don't necessarily need to remember all of these numbers. It's kind of like we're storing variables, so to say. They are named integer constants that will not change through the life of the program.
Okay, just up to this point, please complete your code. Done? Done? Awesome. Now we want to use everything in a method and not any method by long static method. Let's see.
Let's create a method that will calculate the volume of one of our planets when we pass in a radius. Public static will return a double, and this will be the volume method. And there is one parameter. The parameter is planet radius, and we will name this just radius. Okay, we need to return, let's say, volume. And double volume equals And here's the formula to calculate the volume of the sphere. 4.0 divided by 3.0 times math dot pi times our radius to the power of 3. So we can use math dot power, pass in our radius, make sure to cast this as an integer to the power of 3. And let's call the volume method and store this within a double named volume. Double volume equals, we will invoke the volume method and pass in planet radius dot earth. And then we'll display the volume. Console.writeLine, volume, colon space, plus volume. And I think that's in cubed kilometers.
The only thing which is a little bit confusing here, look at this volume. We pass planet radius dot earth, which you're gonna see this one. And then we are gonna typecast it to integer, right? So the best is to name it the way like name of the, because we expect when we talk about radius means that's a number. Technically, it's not a number, it's a label that you typecast it to a number. Does that make sense? This is the kind of a little bit confusing part why I'm explaining it this way, because I found it in other class. Some people was like, hey Reza, why here you just say radius, but you pass planet radius dot earth? Okay, just spend a few seconds, explain it to your neighbor, and I'm gonna elaborate on that again, please. Do not waste your time for typing the code if you left behind. Just focus on understanding. Now you have the code. And explain it to your friend. Yes. Okay, done. Can I have your attention, please? Look at this one. Everybody, if you understand this, you understand everything about enumerated data. And we are going to watch another video, amazing 8-minute video. Here we say that let's have planets, which start from 1 all the way to 9. And let's have planet radius. These are the radius of the planets, right? Everybody. Look at this one. Here I say planets.Mercury. What is going to be here? Mercury, right? The name part is planet number what? Typecast the planet Mercury. It's gonna bring you the number, which is dedicated, the real number, which we covered it with the label Mercury. Look at this one. Here, I want to get the Earth. Listen to this part. Earth has this radius. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, go to enumerated data, go to Earth, right? And I don't want anything. I want the name part, not the value part. And the name part, because I want to place it into a string name, we say convert it to a string. And the next part is I want the Earth radius. So I don't want Earth, I want the integer part. So I just use parentheses. And I defined a static method, which you don't need to create an object and start, using it static. It's already there, like main. And then what you pass into it, it's going to be from the enumerated type. You can call it Reza. So don't worry about why it is radius. It could be anything. We are going to pass something from this texture, from this enumerated data, right? And for that case, look what we have here. We say volume planet radius dot Earth. Do you see that? The texture is what? The texture is planet radius. Huh? And then whenever we get that, for instance, it is Earth. Whenever we get there, pick for me the integer part of it, the value part of it, right? The value part of it. And then we say to the power of 3, those radius. That radius should, just be cubed and multiply pi and multiply 4 divided by 3. Does that make sense? Okay, by saying that, we almost know everything about this code. Let me just see if anything left from the explanation.
And the volume of Earth is whatever number this is, 1083 something 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 cubed kilometers. So yeah, those are enums. They're like a special class that contains a set or grouping of named integer constants. We tend to use enums when we have values that we know will not change. And to get the integer value from an item, you must explicitly convert it to an integer. So yeah, those are enums.
Okay.
Are you helpful? Please.
Guys, spend 2 minutes. You already have the whole code. Spend 2 minutes, especially the part that I emphasize. You're going to get something from the texture of what? Enumerated data. We call it enumerated planet radius, right? Just talk to your neighbors, try to say whatever you learned, and then we are going to get to the last video, please. Done? Yes?
But they have 5 constants, right? But they have nothing. Is it bad practice to put them in an enum or?
Pardon me?
But 5 constants. Is it bad practice
Well, the thing is, we use most of the time enums for something like number of months that we have, number of weeks that we have. If you have any financial things, you just chain them together and put them in one block. But if they have nothing to do with each other, then we are gonna just use simply constant on top of the program. So it's not the best practice. Enumerated mostly are used for the data that they have some relationships with each other. Did I answer your question? Okay, so by saying that, look at this one, we almost did. And just one thing, instead of using console.writeLine, I want you to define one method, call it display, that you pass planet radius Earth, and it gives you a message like, for instance, welcome to Earth or welcome to Mars, something like this. Just display method, please. Whoever could finish, let me know. Bonus mark is waiting. Can I see the here? And implement. Or for instance, welcome to Earth. Okay, guys, to the interest of time, my apologies. Let's just show you the result. It could be something as simple as this. As simple as this, you get the enumerated argument technically. whatever it is, and then it's going to just show you. And is it going to show you the name, or is it going to show you the radius? That's why it's not a good naming, huh? So don't confuse yourself. Reza did that. Okay, the next part is this video, and let's just watch.
In C#, enum is a value type data type. The enum is used to declare a list of named integer constants. It can be defined using the enum keyword directly inside the namespace, inside a class, or a structure. So let us define enum inside our program class. For that, after the main method, we write enum weekdays. And then
What we can learn: do not use music when you want to create.
inside this enum, we write Monday, Tuesday, and the other days. So here we have all the days of the week. Now, if you hover over the Monday, you are going to see that the value is 0. Because if you do not define the number, it will start by default from 0. But if you want to change that, you can just write in here Monday is equal to 1. And then you are going to see that the next day is going to have 2, 3, and Sunday has the value 7. If you want to see the value of an enum inside the main method, write console.writeLine. And then in here, write weekdays dot Friday, for example. Or if you want to see the value that the Friday itself has, like the 5 in this case, or 4 in Thursday, you can just write console.writeLine. And then instead of just displaying weekdays.Thursday, you can convert this value to an integer by writing in front int.
Okay, just till this moment, this is the code, the easiest part. But look at this one. I didn't use enum inside the program class, so I just used it separately. Now you have this part. Okay. Oh, actually you have it, yeah. Just copy that part. And try to show, as you see here, I intentionally mentioned it like this: part A, part B. Just say in one weekdays dot Friday, and the other one say integer typecasted. Yeah. Okay. Done. Yes, please. It's okay. What actually works is just if the days that you decided to start with Sunday, if you just say Sunday equal to 1, that is more than enough. I mean, that's fine. But I personally prefer to have numbers in front of them all. It makes it more readable. That's it. Right? Whether you say that Monday is equal to 2 or not, it's going to just consider Monday as 2. That's a good question. Right? Okay. Let's just have this one. Guys, I said enumerated data can consist of two things. One of them is the name part and the other one is the value part. Can you please type console.writeLine and then inside parentheses say Enum dot say I don't want to show you, but you already see it. Say that console writeLine and what do we call it? Say Enum dot, and you are going to see among all the values that you have, one of them is get name, right? And use parentheses, but what is going to happen? It's going to say what you can pass. It says that it should be type Enum type, means that the thing that you're going to pass is type of weekdays, for example, that you have. So you should say, my Paul, you should say type of, right? And then what is the enum that we have there? Weekdays. So you're going to just say weekdays and which day of the week that you want to pass, for example. Let's say day number 3 or elements number 3. And I missed 1, 2, 1. Oh, one parenthesis is missing. Yeah. Something like this, right? Everybody? So technically, actually what happens is, guys, I told you we have name and values. You are gonna go and count the numbers. Sunday is 1, right? Monday is 2, and Tuesday is number 3, isn't it? So the real value that we have is 3, but get the name, get the label on top of 3. What is the label on top of 3? Tuesday. So it's going to show you Tuesday. Does that make sense? Is it possible to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to spot just only one name there. I want all the names. Instead of that, say get names. Can you please do that? Get names. What's going to happen if you say get names? Okay, it means that we are going to access, but I don't know how. I don't know how. Let's just be a little bit patient and everybody, can you please listen to this part?
Issue by pressing Ctrl F5. We're going to see the Friday and 4. And 4 comes from the weekdays of Thursday. Now, Enum is mainly used to make code more readable. So instead of writing the first day, the second day, etc., you can just write Monday, and then you can define that Monday stands as the first day of the week. So it basically makes the code more readable by giving related constants a meaningful name. You can do the same for the months. So instead of writing 1 to 12 for the month number, you can just write January for the first one, etc. It is also great when you want to test your code. But it is important to mention that the enum cannot be used with the string type. So here I cannot write Monday is equal to 1 inside double quotes. Enum is an abstract class.
So
includes.
So based on what I learned, it's not possible to say Sunday equal to double quote 1, right? Can you please just, instead of double quote, guys, Let's try. Just use single quote and see what's going to happen. Is it going to work? Seriously? Wow. Oh, and it shows 52 or something, 53 for the result, huh? Yeah. For Tuesday, what's going to be the output? 50? I can't understand that. How? Huh. Exactly. It's going to convert the character to ASCII code. So technically, enumerated data is going to get values, either integer values or something which is convertible to integer values, like ASCII code. Does that make sense? So how about this? Say 1.23. Is it going to accept it based on the logic? What do you guess? Okay, try it. As man said, it's not gonna work. Yeah, you see, I trust you, even I don't check it. So let's go further and see what's gonna happen.
To work with these, some of the main methods are the get name, the get names, and the try pairs. The get name will
Well, actually, English is my second language as well, but that is try parse.
simply return the name of the constant, and the get names will return an array of string names. And then the try pairs is going to convert the string presentation of the name or numeric value to an equivalent enumerated object. So let us see them all in action. Inside the name action, let us see the get name method. So for that, let us just write in here console, right line. So we are going to test the get name. We're going to test the get names and the try pairs. Then we will try pairs. After the get name, let us write console dot write line. And then inside the console dot write line, write enum dot get name. And then as a parameter, we see that we need to pass the type of the enum type. So for that, we just write type of weekdays. And then as an object value, we're going to say that get the fourth one. So we write comma, and then we define 5 as the object value. Let us do the same for the get names. So now let us test the get names. So for that, we need to create a for each loop. For that, we write for each. So for each string str in the enum dot get names, and then we define.
You see that for the get names, because we are not going to deal with only one name, the best is to use a for each concept, saying for each name in names, right? That kind of concept.
Type of weekdays. We want to display the value of the string. So console dot write line, and then just str. So for that, let us.
Okay, so let's just pause up to here. And guys, you see that the comments that we could have to this code is one, why enum is inside program class. If you want to access it other places as well, the best is to put it outside the class. The other thing is why for each without any curly braces. Maybe you want to add more logics into there, right? So the best is to have open, close curly braces and put that console write line inside it. And why is stir? Stir is something that we mostly use to convert something from other types as typecasting to string. So please just manipulate a little bit to alter this code, and then whenever you're done, give me a signal, please. Yeah, this is the code. Okay. Can I have your attention, please? Look at this one. Here, we finished that and we want to get to the try parse one and see what is happening.
Full of time weekdays, so weekdays. WD none. Because the tribe,
Okay, let me tell you one thing, guys. Most of the time, try parse concept is for the thing that, for instance, you want to see, hey, is it possible whatever I pass to you to convert it to integer, for example, or to string, for example? You know what I'm saying? Here we want to see if there is any ability for a number that we pass to see if that number is among the list. Does that make sense? We start with 1 for Mercury and with Pluto, number 9. So I'm gonna pass number 1, for instance, and I want to, oh, sorry. Okay. Here we have Monday all the way to Sunday, number 7. We want to see if I pass number 1, what's gonna return here? Monday. What if I just pass number 11 instead of 1? What's gonna be the output?
Error.
Error or error?
Out of all.
Guys, we have error and we have error, right? Okay, what would be the output?
Out of three.
Guess error. Look at the beauty of using try parse. Here, if it can convert it, guys, it's like Canada Post. If I can find the receiver, I'm gonna give the package. If I can't deliver the package, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna return the original 2 original things. 11 is not in the list, right? So I can't say that Monday, Tuesday, or anything. I'm gonna return number 11. Does that make sense? It's not gonna give error. So look at this one. Let's just complete the code together.
will return value, which indicates whether the conversion succeeded or not. Now let's write enum dot try pairs. Let us define.
Didn't I tell you that enum is another example of class object kind of thing? Here I define int a, weekdays, weekdays, reza, whatever. I create another variable which is empty. I didn't do anything to just fill the value. And now I'm saying that, hey, enum dot try parse weekdays.
Inside here define that I want to get the first one. And I want to check if it's convertible to a weekday. So I want to store this value to the WD or weekday enum. And then next, let us just display this value to the users. For that, you write console, write line, weekday enum. So what this basically,
Look at this one. I'm gonna say, hey, go to the enumerated weekdays and see if you can find one. Put the equivalence name into where? WD enum, right? The out is gonna work like that here. In either case, if you can find it or not, what's gonna happen? We're gonna show what we have in enum. Look at the result.
for the value 1 in the weekdays enums, And then if it exists, it will convert it to the real weekday and then display it. So in this case, since Monday has a value 1, it will check if it exists. So in this case, we have defined it to be 1. Since we have already a 1 value in the weekdays, it's going to return Monday.
Okay,
So you see the result.
I want you all, please just add those 3 lines, try 1, and then try 11 as well. See what are the results. Done? Done? Okay. Can I have your attention for the last part?
Cool.
Everybody, you already have the whole code. I'm gonna give you, yeah, the whole code. Just spend a few seconds and see what are all these things. Apart from it, yeah, just to spend a few seconds. Read it. Done. Awesome. Okay. Can I have everybody's attention? I thought that it's kind of confusing if we have all those things in just one program. So I split it into several segments. Please let me quickly go through it. And in any part, if you have any concern, please let me know. Along in here, I said that I have enumerated data, weekdays, and I say, hey, show me weekdays.friday. What are we gonna see as the output? Definitely Friday. What if I say integer? It's gonna show you number 6. What if I say, hey, enum.getName from what type of things that I'm gonna pass into it? Type of weekdays, right? Obvious. And I'm gonna say, bring me the name of the integer that I have. Bring me the label of the integer that I have there, and it is 3. What do you think it's gonna show me? Tuesdays, right? If instead of name, I say names, do I need to specify any label into it? Any specific, number into it? No, that is why we have enum get names types of weekdays, and we say for every single day, listen to this part, the name we said, what is it? The texture of it is string. So we say for every single, guys, this is not a keyword. It can be Reza, right? So string day in that, just show me the day. So it's gonna show you Sunday, Monday, and so on and so forth. And the last, if you just say, hey, go to enumerated data, try parse, and we say weekdays, the enumerated that we have already defined. And we say, can you find any number among the integers say like 1. If you can find any equivalent, get the name of it and place it inside enum. Again, these two guys are, they're variables. And then because we can find it, what's going to happen? Control C. Tell me, it's going to show you. Lovely. Yeah, it's going to show you. What? Hello. Regime changed. Okay, Sunday, finally. But what if I say 11? It's gonna show you 11. Look at the time. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate your presence. This is what we needed to finish for today. And next week, we are going to just continue right from this that we have finished today. If there's any concern, any question, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stop the recording.